in here, so let's move it along. For all the concern about public health before the rally, the big story ended up being the crowd, or more specifically, the lack of a crowd. At least a third of that arena was empty for a president who talks so much about drawing a crowd and
brother,
about 1 million people wanted to get in. There was a lot of
course, everybody's thinking about their health,
the
idiot.
And the overflow.
Chris Wallace is a
Because
dumbass.
there was no overflow.
Well, there was a lot more empty space at
Chris
Joe Biden's
Wallace
so-called campaign rally last week, where individuals
Juan
were
Williams.
selected by the campaign to show up
boot
here. So if we want to
them
compare and
out
contrast which elections
of
that were
Fox.
President Trump still has the upper hand on that. When it comes to what he talked about and the details of what he went after Joe Biden on, I think when you look at the news cycle and the things going around the country, President Trump talked about not bending a knee to the mob. And when you have rioters burning down neighborhoods and destroying the livelihoods of Americans and the most vulnerable in our cities, that message, I think, will resonate, especially while Joe Biden refuses to get out on the campaign trail and President Trump is making that effort.
Juan, maybe I'm making too much of this. I'd like your reaction. But, you know, the president was billing this as, you know, the reopening to America, the transition to greatness, and I'm getting back. And he said he was starting his campaign. In fact, he started it before the coronavirus.
Here we go again with this guy.
His campaign. Do you think the fact
Him and Juan Williams need their own show on CNN.
Well, it's an issue because he's made crowd size an issue, so people are just holding him to his own standard. But I mean, this, you know, the larger point to me is this was less a reset for the president. He went to a deep red state to draw on energy, and instead of a reset, it largely was a flop. It was a repeat. I mean, the whole theme, this thing about the protests, they're anarchists, they're violent, they're communist, they're looters. I mean, at some point, people like to say Americans have a right to protest, and overwhelmingly, these protests have been not only...
There's a Democratic mouthpiece
they have
again.
been impressive.
On
But
Fox,
the president
no
is
less.
on a rant
On
here.
Fox.
He wants to present himself as Mr. Law and Order. He's going to correct...
It's the same words coming out of the DNC Media Matters.
Puppet of the left. And at some point, you say, gosh, I think I've heard these
It's a
things
puppet.
before, and it just doesn't have the same power it did.
CNN. Should be on CNN.
Just a few months ago. It seems
Be good on
empty at this
CNN.
point, like a hollow bell.
Guy, what are your thoughts about last night's rally and about where this shows we are, and also put in the polls in that, because there was some...
They know this dummy, Chris Wallace, is going to like what they say.
The rally and where we are in this campaign.
I think there are a few factors that played into the smaller than expected crowd, including, for example, the fact that you tell people there's 1 million people who...
I don't know who this guy
people
is.
say, maybe that doesn't sound terribly exciting to me. I might not get in the building. I'm just going to wait and watch from home. And of course, I think the virus is a huge part of this. People ultimately, when push came to shove, said, I'm going to hold off on this. And there were lots of people watching at home. I do think that is a significant number. In terms of the polling, it's clear why President Trump is trying to goad Vice President Biden out from the basement to get back to a more normal campaign, because I think they're betting in the Trump campaign, the more people see from Joe Biden, the less impressed they'll be. That might be a pretty good bet.
Well, there'll be more rallies, and, you know, hopefully we'll see Joe Biden out in more public situations, if not those big mass rallies. Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday. Up next, our Power Player of the Week. Country music's Toby Keith on his career and critics, and staying true to the red, white, and blue.